Hello, everybody, and welcome to Play Dicely After Party. My name is Christy Clow, and this is the Talkback Show where myself, my wonderful castmates, and the incredible DM of our adventures discuss the most recent episodes of Play Dicely, our D&D actual play show that airs live here on Twitch usually every other Sunday at 6, but sometimes it differs, and just keep you on your toes. Yeah, before we go any further, just a heads up that if you're hearing any music right now, you're watching it on YouTube, and that music is coming from Tim from Tabletop Audio. So shout out to Tim for the tunes. We do have a rather hefty episode today as we are discussing 3 episodes of Play Dicely, Brulbar by Night, Mr. Armani Kane, and Fine Whistles and Fun Wizards. Let's just freaking dive into it, gang. The first episode started with something that Dallis wants to talk about right now.
I was just gonna say, I forgot that that's how this is gonna start.
Woo! So Dallis, this episode started with our meeting with your nephew, Velun. Do you want to speak a little bit about how you're feeling going into this episode? Did you have any expectations of how the conversation was going to go? Were you surprised?
Yeah, so I was very stressed going into this episode for so many reasons, the majority of which was his eye color. Really a problem for me.
Yeah. You want to talk a little about how long you antagonized over that eye color detail?
Oh, well, the moment that Teni said he had blue eyes 2 episodes prior, from that moment until after the conversation ended, I was continuing to stress about whether or not that was actually my nephew. The problem was that it was such a small detail I had added at one point that he had the same eyes as Elowyn.
Mm-hmm.
And so it stressed me out because when Denny said blue, I was like, Denny just forgot. It's cool. No big deal. But then I was like, unless he didn't forget. Unless this is all a ploy. And so I just spiraled on that for 5 to 6 weeks. I don't know. How long did that last? A while. So going into it, I was truly like, I really was having trouble prepping for that whole conversation because I was like, I don't know if this is a real conversation. I don't know if I need to look, the spells I took for level 8, partially inspired by the idea that I was going to have to question this person and figure out where my nephew was. Like, it was a whole, I did not know how to prep going into this conversation at all.
What did you take?
Suggestion.
Oh, interesting.
A thought.
You'd be surprised at how few combat related spells Dallis actually has.
Is it 0? I think it's 0. I have Eldritch Blast, and then I have utility spells for days.
Look, someone needs to have the utility spells because we don't have a wizard, so it's fine.
It's me.
I love that you went full utility. That is so neat.
Yeah, that's nice.
The most wizard of warlocks.
The most wizardly warlock.
I mean, honestly, though, you are people
I
think would
probably
be easily mistaken for thinking that you're a wizard.
I'm probably doing something wrong that playing this warlock makes me want to play a wizard. Maybe I do like wizards.
I mean, wizards are fun. I guess it just depends. I think maybe you like having that bit of combat element that you have, though, like the melee element.
I think that's really the Eldritch Blast really makes it for me. I love that I have a constant, this is what I do all the time, but then I have just this plethora of other things I can do if the situation arises.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to question somebody who's pretending to be your nephew.
Mm-hmm. By the end of the conversation, at this point, is Elowyn convinced that it's Velun?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, and I think I did it later in the episode as well, where I used my book to cast Sending to him, and I was pretty sure that wouldn't work if it wasn't actually him, and that wasn't his name in the book, right? So that by that point, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is him now. I'm pretty convinced.
I like how 92%.
98%.
Ooh, there's still a chance though.
Oh, not you're never 100% sure with Teni.
That's true.
Yeah. For the rest of the group, what was everyone's opinions about Velun before and after this conversation? I'm gonna start because I interacted with him during the jail scene thing. The whole time I was like, I don't get it. He seems like he's just a dude. And I still felt that after we left his house. I was like, my man likes to build furniture and he thinks the Wilder's too much. And I can relate. So this seems like a real solid guy. So, yep.
I'm gonna just agree with you there. Like, he seemed like a very relaxed person who took his job relatively seriously and had some hobbies. I don't know. Teni really just played him as like a regular person. And
So
I think
sweet.
that
I love
really
that.
just made Dallis more wary of him.
Exactly. What do you mean? You're like furniture?
What kind of freak likes furniture?
He lives a simple life and has hobbies he enjoys.
What do
Fuck him.
What do you
I
have
like
against what do you have against the wood fellow?
Jesus.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
The wood fellow, he's a friend of mine. We like him.
Well, we should commission him to build some furniture for our keep.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
so
yeah.
Pretty fancy. We have a keep now. We'll get to that, but saying. Part of this conversation right near the end, Velun mentions something to do with some crazy bastard who's hunting dragons. How were you feeling in that moment, Drac? Because I feel like it's pretty certain that might be Boz.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Just trying to remember that moment exactly what he was talking about. Was he because he was referring to stuff that we already knew, right?
Was he? I felt like it was new information. Let me pull up my notes.
I'm pretty sure he was like telling us about like the cleansing breath, grabbing a dragon, bringing it to Valen Bridge, and like he had heard about like the ruckus that happened there. Am I right in that, Teni, or was this new information?
Well, let's see what the notes have gathered, and maybe I can clarify.
Okay.
There are no notes about
he
this.
heard this rumor 5 days ago, with it being that whoever this is killed one dragon and caught another. So I think this would have been like after he had already been in Valenbridge. He's hearing a rumor about it because there was those two
Oh.
dragons that we kind of So
So he probably killed one of them and then
probably killed the one that like collected its
Maybe.
kin, whatever
Yeah.
it was, and then continued with the one that was already captured, which
I think it
Yeah.
was his partner.
feels good
yeah. That's
that we did absolutely nothing to help in that situation. So
well, it was a couple of dragons that weren't trying to really accept our help, so
well, what reason would they have,
yeah. But what would we have done? You know, they would have just turned us to poison goop. So
No, I mean, like, we tried to help. Like, I had talked to that dragon.
yeah, I know. But
And so it's just
they
like we
weren't
weren't
receptive.
fucking strong enough to get
Yeah.
rid of the bonds. So that probably would have been better if we could have fucking got that cage thing off of it. But anyway.
But yeah, not feeling great about it. Just further compounding that Drac needs to figure out a way to get through to his brother, or just like figure out what the hell he's doing. Because you can't do anything about him unless he knows what's up. So
Yeah, I'm so interested to see once we get to Geralkarth, like, if you can get those freaking elders to talk to you about what the hell is going on.
yeah,
It
we'll
looks
see.
like there's a lot of secrets. That's all. So.
Mhm,
I've
indeed.
got suggestion now, so if we
Ooh. There we
I don't
go.
know how well that will go over, but we'll see.
Yeah,
no,
just cast,
probably
Promoted in
not.
game.
Probably not, huh?
just cast some hostile magic on these people.
Your mom? What?
Oh my god, it's so nice to meet you, Drax mom. Boom. Tell us everything you know.
I feel like if anyone's going to be forthright with Drac, it's going to be his mother. And if she's not, well, that's just going to be the saddest thing in the whole wide world. So
Well, it also depends on if she's able to speak once you get back there.
what does that mean, Teni?
When you left, she hadn't said anything out of despair for like a long period of time.
Yeah,
The
but if
last-
she... Wait, how does sending work, though? Doesn't she respond out loud?
I don't specifically recall.
Okay.
I just kind of been treating it like a mental thing, but I'll look into
Okay.
that and get clarification.
I
Cool.
can do the message thing that I did for what's his face.
I have brain stuff too.
I mean, you guys
Yeah.
will be able to communicate with her, I'm sure. You've got magic at your disposal, but there is
Magic.
symbology and depth.
Totes.
Really, all I'm thinking about is that is it from one of the original Assassin's Creed games where like the mom stops speaking and you have to bring her feathers or some shit?
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bring your mom some
Bring her
feathers.
some feathers.
Yeah, what mom doesn't like that?
I am not Assassin's Creed.
That game was sad as hell, though, to be fair.
And so is this one.
I was gonna say,
Back
that
at the inn,
tracks.
the party debriefs with Elowyn about that meeting with Velun.
Sorry, can we go back? Can I talk more about
yeah.
this conversation with William?
Please do.
Because it was great. Denny, you're the best. Yeah, you did a thing that was both the best and worst thing you've ever done to me. That's not true. It's not even close to the worst thing you've ever done to me, but but where you called me, he's like, "Do I call you Auntie Win?" That was the meanest thing. And so good from you, because I've written like these like little vignettes of Elowyn's life that I sent to Denny, and in one of them I had Alora call Elowyn Win. And it's the only time, like, we've never talked about this, you know? It's the only time I've ever brought this up, and it just hurts me that she talks about me like that at home, that he knows that. That's the worst. That's really not great. Anyways, I'm sad all the time.
Oh my god.
That's all I have to say on that.
I just
Can we
need,
talk
like,
about that armor as well, though?
Yes, I didn't know where to put it for that question that you had. I put it at the bottom because of chronological things. But yeah, what do you want to talk about with that? With the mithril armor?
Yeah, the mithril armor that he was like, oh, I want to buy that off of Nell. And in the moment, I think I got caught up on the fact that he was like, it's High Rider armor. And I remembered that Nievin was a High Rider, and that's what like my brain spiraled on. But later on, we were talking about this in Discord, and Christy pointed out that we got that armor from the Dunan Mountains, which is
Yeah.
also where we met Nievin. And we're like, hey, was that his
Oh.
armor?
Yeah, that
That
was a
kinda
question
sucks.
I had a while back. Yeah, it was like that Nevin's armor that Jesus, Velun,
Balin, not Balloon.
and then it ended
Velun.
up with Velun.
Oh, look at that. I'm also concerned, like, why did we take gifts from those people? And I'm also now concerned that my nephew has a thing from them. Can they?
Well, I mean,
like-
that's almost like the best thing it could have been, because like we could always give it back. Like, because the main thing that like Velun wanted it so that it felt like it was like being like used or like had by someone who understands the history of it. So if we're like, oh, we actually know whose armor this is in real life and like where he is, we
That's
can
true.
figure it out.
Maybe we can reunite them someday.
Yeah. I mean, your freaking thing at the end of your club is from Valin, isn't
There's-
it?
No.
No. What am I thinking?
The
of?
Gem of Brightness is from them as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right on.
But I think those are bad people, right? Aren't we, like, don't we know
Well-
that now? And are we just, like, carrying
Well,
their
we-
shit around?
We knew it then, but we earned it by
Did
Abe
we?
dying.
I don't know if they're necessarily bad people. They worship a
I'm
god.
pretty
that
sure they
maybe
want
has
us dead. Or at least
questionable
Abe.
practices.
I'm
But
pretty sure they at least want Abe dead, don't they?
Aren't they cannibals?
Yeah, that specific sect was cannibals.
Yeah, that group was cannibals.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, can they track the things that they gave us? And did we give one of them to my nephew? That's where I'm worried about.
Oh. Well, I mean,
Probably not.
you have him in the sending book, so you can always ask. Like, you can always like
Just check
warn
in on him.
Well, like just tell
Hey,
them
bud,
like
anyone
FYI.
show up today?
Any
It's-
cannibals come to eat you?
It's also so
Well-
it's so fascinating
Hot
to hear
blue
you guys
elves.
be like, well, they don't entirely seem like bad people. Meanwhile, they're also cannibals.
They're bad people,
Might be
man.
okay.
Oh, like,
They're
no, I
definitely
was-
bad people, right?
No, I'm just saying, like, why is it a surprise? Like, we knew they were bad people before. Like, they've
I
always
know.
been bad. Like,
I it's only when I started thinking about this that I was like, why did we ever take anything from them? Like, we were right. We did always know they were bad. Why are we carrying their stuff?
well,
Because Abe used to be a prophet.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it made
It
more
felt
sense when
safe when,
Abe
you
was
know,
on their
everything-
side.
Like-
But now that Abe's not on their side, I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, in the context of the moment, it's kind of like it made sense because like we didn't really understand like how Abe necessarily like fit into all of this, so there's kind of a weird respect there. But I mean, in my opinion, carrying on a fucking Gem of Darkness is the least of our concerns in terms of people tracking us, because
That's
Sarze is
fair.
already doing that, and we don't know how or why. So, or we know why, but we don't know how. Who isn't tracking us?
I was gonna say, are they not all like part of the same thing?
Sarze?
No.
Wasn't it? Oh, but wasn't like when we got attacked by the railway, we found that note from Kardrak Mithril, right? And
Yep.
those were those people.
Oh,
You're
Are they not
yeah.
all working together?
Don't know.
yeah. Let
It
me.
might have been a
double-check.
one-off.
Might have been an outsourcing.
Because there was something
contract.
specific
Yeah.
that he was getting from them. Let me double check what it was.
I've been rewatching old episodes. I'm coming up with all
Hmm.
sorts of theories now.
Well,
When
hold
was
on
the-
now, because the Midnight Sun, right, was made out of what precisely? Souls of like divine beings, right?
God, we're gonna get back into Alumbrites again. I don't understand this stuff.
So, like, you know, maybe they are tied to it, because I don't know. Maybe Maladin was the
Yeah. No, you're right.
Ooh.
This all connects. This is all coming together.
Because then in your conversation with Layla, doesn't Layla say Malden is no god?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Maladin not being a god makes sense to me, if he was something inside the gem,
Yeah.
or if he's an Alumbrate, or sorry, we don't even know.
They
Freaking,
are whatever.
They are
left
a
of the
Fae.
gem, Maybe they
It's just
never
a Fae.
left the gem.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of was not listening to that whole thing, so I was trying to find the note. But I do think, yeah, it is. I guess it is all connected because of like that, like the Lumbrites and etc. But in the note, it says like, you have served me well over the years. I have one final thing I wish for you to do: travel to the Dune Mountains, yada yada, find the cannibals, and have them attack the railroad site.
Okay. So he
so-
sent someone there.
Yeah, so even that, it's like he wanted those, like wanted them to attack it, but like we don't know why exactly he wanted that group to do it. Like, what was he hoping to achieve from that? We don't really know.
Probably just sow chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
like
guess.
it's important to like consider like these situations, like like what are the different factions, and then you know you could speculate on what are their relationships. Like, are they working together? Are they temporarily like being hired or mercenaried out or something like that?
Yeah.
You'll have to find that information on your own. But these are three individual groups you are talking about. Like whatever Kardrak's group is, the Malden followers in the Dunan Mountains, and the Shade Hand, which Sarze belongs to.
Right.
Oh, wait. So the people who attacked us at the railway, like whoever we found the note on, were they the Shade Hand?
They were part of Team Kardrak.
Yeah.
Flavius was their name.
Well, but the Shade
Yeah.
Hand are working with Kardrak. We know that because Sarze is.
Yeah.
Oh, Shade Hand.
Sarze is.
I guess I was just trying to like get like further confirmation of who that group actually was, because I just realized I'm like, well, I guess we don't really know who proper mask people were.
Yeah, we didn't really look into the iconography of said mask, so
And the Shenkurai were working with Sarze
Oh.
when they attacked us at the campsite.
Oh, damn it. So he's
Yeah.
just got his freaking little fingers in a bunch of different pies, it seems.
He does.
Mhm.
He's
Love
getting
that.
allies from all over the place.
I mean,
Hero to be.
it works really well to sow a bunch of chaos. Just like, let's bring all these different factions in and be like, yeah, try and figure out how these all connect. Hate that.
Yeah.
Gonna need a big army to topple the Ascendancy.
True.
Yeah.
Big yikes.
Well, every time I think about how like interwoven this thing is, it makes me angry because I'm like, I need to find that one thread I can yank on, unravel this shit. Was there anything else you want to talk about specific to the Velun conversation, Dallis?
I've never been more angry at a character that I created and made all of the decisions of. Alora, I hate her. Oh, I'm gonna go yell at her so bad.
Great.
I made
And-
all of those choices and I hate her.
If we don't have the context for anybody out there, that's Elowyn's sister.
Yeah. It does kind of lead into like my next bit, which was when we were kind of debriefing about said conversation back at the inn, and you revealed about, this guilt that Elowyn carries around for feeling kind of like a burden to her family, specifically your mom, and how I guess you were hoping that you weren't having that effect on your sister, because you left. So what, like in the moment itself, like,
let's be clear about this.
Okay. Okay, my apologies. She left. I think in the moment you felt more sad because I was just rewatching that conversation today, but now you seem very angry. So like,
I'm both things. I can be multiple things.
Why are you
not
angry?
mutually exclusive.
Where's the rage? Like, why are you pissed at her?
Because if she's sad and I was sad, why didn't we talk to each other for 200 years?
I don't know, Dallis, did you reach out to her ever?
Yeah, Elowyn, why didn't you talk to her?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's almost like two people can work together to form a bridge and not just one have all of the...
left.
She left. And how old was everyone involved at that
that's
current
not
time?
important. That's
How
not
old?
the important thing. That's
How
not the important
old
thing.
was
She could have
she?
reached out too. She could have reached out at any point, and she didn't.
Yeah.
I thought she was living a nice, happy life, so I
Mhm.
let her live her nice, happy life. If she wasn't living a nice, happy life, why haven't we been talking?
I don't know. I
Curious.
almost wonder if maybe it's because she thought you might react like this.
And I will when I go find her. She was
Interesting.
right.
Yeah. Would you say that
You should
you and your
fear me.
sister are very alike in temperament?
I probably.
God, I hope
yeah.
not.
I was gonna say, like, if you're really both stubborn, then perhaps the same conversation is happening on her end on the Wilder.
Weird.
Strange,
Interesting.
yeah, weird. Yep. Fascinating. Yeah. I just want to briefly touch, but like that conversation was the whole like you're not special thing, and this is making me think about it because I was really happy to finally do that in character because I had been like fucking with you like out of character, like trying like doing the same thing of being like, oh, like why don't you think about this? And it makes me really happy how mad you get.
I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah. But overall, how did that conversation with the group afterwards make you feel? Because we were trying to be very supportive of the fact being like, we don't think that you're a burden, but does Elowyn even believe that?
I don't know. It's hard to not believe I'm a burden, to be totally real with you. But I think that was I think a really important conversation for Ellen to have, because I think, like I said this before. I think that this like family thing has been such a thing in her life. You know, like she's felt so hung up on like I ruin families. I am a burden. All these things have been such a problem in her life, and to have like the group be like, no, like we want you. And I finally got to put on that bracelet that I've been trying to figure out how to do for ages. Ever since you gave it to me, I've been like, oh, it's such a good thing, and I cannot do it as Elowyn. But that was a really nice moment to, and I think like a really big turning point for Elowyn in general. Like a lot of this episode was a really big turning point for Elowyn, and like making choices to be like, okay, like a commitment to family. I think both this family and my own family. Talking with Velun is like, okay, I should talk to my sister, like reconnect a little bit and solidify this group and commit to them. And yeah, I think it was a big turning point of like, okay, you gotta do this. We're doing this thing.
Yeah. You just have to go through like 7 more stages of grief before it actually happens, I think.
So who do I have left to convince? I think it's Azaria. I don't know if Gideon put it on yet.
I've not
I
put
put
it on.
mine on right away because I felt bad for you. Because I didn't want you to feel bad about fucking up the whole me invisible thing.
Interesting.
I think I am the only person
I
who's not
brought
put
this
it
up,
on.
I
think
think,
it's
in the
just
first after party where we talked about this, was that at this point, Azaria definitely feels like we're a connected group and is wearing it for that reason, but they put it on at first because they just didn't want Drac to feel like they didn't like trust Drac after the whole I'm gonna go in invisible, we got this plan.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder. I feel like Drac might have clocked that and has just kind of been biding his time then to have a real conversation with Azaria about trust.
At this point, I trust you.
Yeah, but I don't think he feels like he's earned it.
Ah.
So he wants probably to have like a real heart-to-heart with you. And then, yeah, I gotta connect with Gideon a little bit then.
Well, on a little
Family stuff.
Yeah, literally.
I don't
like,
know. It's hard.
Well,
I don't know if
I'm
you're
like,
gonna convince him.
Did we ever fully? I don't think we as a group ever fully had the conversation after the warehouse fight about how like terribly that went.
No, I don't think we did.
So much happened. It
We're
was
all just
like,
so shell-shocked.
yeah, it's like we almost died, then we didn't, and then the next day we were like heroes of the realm, and then it was just like, okay, now we're on a sky ship. Oh, now I'm Arnie Kane. It's just like, it'll just never happen. So we're just setting ourselves up on a really shaky foundation right now, which is going to be very interesting. I think that conversation does need to happen
I
deeply.
agree. Well, it could happen on the road to Varmhall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got a couple days.
Yeah.
Good. Very excited about that. One of my questions, Dallis, was how are you feeling about reconnecting with your sister? But I think we got our answer about that. Good. She is how you're feeling. Yes. Cool. So that same evening, quite a bit happens. Actually, like one of it was like previous to that conversation, technically, was Abe reading the journal that Charity gave him, but technically it happened after because time is wibbly wobbly.
I've been waiting to hear his thoughts on this. Let's go.
Yeah, I am fascinated. Now, full disclosure, I only was able to catch up on the first part, so I don't fully remember what happened in the second part of you reading that journal. So I'm hoping, Adam, you remember and you can fill me in. So that would be great. But my first question is, was the information provided in the journal new to you at all, or did you and Denny kind of collaborate on that?
It was all new. I had nothing to do with that at all. The characters involved had only been hinted at in the previous campaign and obviously referenced as historical figures during this campaign. So yeah, I had nothing to do about that. Were they, this is sort of a side question for you, Denny, was that trio inspired by anything in particular? Like, did you do a one-shot that involved those characters or anything like that? Or any books or works of media that kind of brought those to your attention?
Not particularly. Like, when I was creating the setting, Adam Makwa, who was also a player in the last campaign, he and I did an experiment where we were like, okay, let's take a concept and then each create our own worlds based on that concept. And we started with the concept of dragons have taken over the surface. We're like, okay, and then we each went our different ways. And what I did to continue fleshing mine out was civilization fled underground. Like, the main points were dragons took over the surface, civilization fled underground, and I was like, 3 heroes. What's pretty classic? A warrior, a wizard, and a priest. And so came Kardrak, Faye Applebutter, and Pascalis the Brave.
A warrior, a wizard, and a priest walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then, like, with that, I was like, well, I should give each of them a name, and they'll be historic figures.
Very cool.
Interesting.
I was also curious about if it was a one-shot. Good. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, no, these 3 were characters who've not been played.
Yet. Haha. Speaking of, Adam, were you expecting that your kind of connection would potentially be to Pascalis the Brave, if that is whomst it is?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, whenever I think about it, I'm like, if this is true, because Danny does love to throw the old curveballs. Yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense, especially after what happened in the most recent episode. Yeah, I liked that kind of fleshed out. It also weirdly humanizes Kardrak, obviously in the context of our game. he's an old evil villain, but like it's interesting having, especially for Abe, the historical knowledge of like, okay, so he was a good person, and then he wasn't for a while, and now he's not at all good. So I don't really know what that means for Abe. I guess he's more concerned with what's happening right now. But
That's fair. What was this? You read in the journal a second time this episode, didn't you? I just don't remember. Like the first part, basically, you just kind of got like the kind of like their main adventuring part, and then it was like when it like things got sadder or something for Faye. I didn't get a chance to rewatch that part, so I don't remember what happened.
Pascalis gains possession of a sword that changes how he acts very much, and he becomes very violent and very brutal. And then Faye banishes the sword at one point. I don't know if there was a catalyst for that moment mentioned or not, Teni, but it happens. And then it never quite seems to, like, obviously the immediacy of it leaves him, but it just sort of, there's always something.
Hi, Natalie. Natalie, we're trying to talk to your husband. Natalie, please.
Sure.
Gross. Well, now we gotta up the rating of this stream.
Yep.
That was actually like pretty chaste, like all things chaste. All things considered. So.
Lost my train of thought.
I can't
Why?
imagine why.
First sword gone, but
Yeah,
Catalyst.
still lingered.
he always has some sort of a bit of a cruel edge to him for the rest of his days, which culminates in him being engulfed in Emre's, I assume, breath weapon. But he dies burned alive.
And that was like his whole thing was he was getting everyone into like the underground, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So now you're probably not going to give me the answer I need, Teni, but I need you to break down a little bit more about like my brain can't comprehend this crystal situation because like when did all the souls go into the midnight sun crystal originally? Like what
Yeah,
was...
you're not gonna get that answer.
I
But can you just remind me? Like, that part is like something we know, though, isn't it? Like the soul. Like, was it at the beginning of the desolation that like that whole thing, like the gods were separated and then the crystal?
Are those connected?
What?
Why would your characters know that?
No, I'm asking for me.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah, that's
I'd like
I
to
always
learn this
assumed
when my
this all happened at the
character
same time.
learns
Yeah.
this.
Because some of the okay, fuck. I'm gonna bring my fucking group lore doc.
Open the dock.
Jesus.
Just
So important that I do this right now. We don't have a million other things to discuss, Teni.
Then why don't we skip it? We can talk about
No.
it later.
when we learn it with our characters.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I won't fucking get into it now, but I don't really understand like how the whole like the souls and the crystal thing works, because like why, like how would have Pascal's soul? Anyways, guess we'll fucking find out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now that whatever I've provided you probably isn't going to give you the answers you're looking for. I don't know if I've given anybody, like this campaign or prequel, the proper answers yet.
hate them. Hate
Okay.
that for us.
Yeah, I don't think last
I'm gonna stop
campaign
trying to
was-
understand. At some point, someone's gonna explain this to me.
Oh,
Maybe.
or they won't, and you'll live forever in
They
the
won't.
darkness.
Maybe we'll pick up the
Whatever.
other threads and we'll find something else out.
We'll make our own threads. Blackjack.
Yeah, forget the threads, actually.
Okay, fine. This is gonna make me too angry, so I'm gonna look at it later. Yep.
Well, let me distract you from your rage to insert a question for you, Christy. So-
Yay.
As like as that day was coming to an end, you had Drac, with his new abilities at the time, was beginning to send messages out into the world, and you thought to take benefit of this by contacting your eldest sister Vesta, which was something I wasn't anticipating. But how were you feeling about reaching out to Vesta, and how do you think that went, considering the response?
Yeah, it was one of those things that's like in my head that I realized I should tell you about in advance, because it was always in my mind. I'm like, she should get there. We're like heading there soon. But that went about as well as I thought it would. Makes me really happy because I feel like you've definitely like just have really grasped like the personalities I had in mind for my siblings. So even like it was such a simple response that I got, but I was like, yep, seems right. Nell definitely wished she didn't have to do that, but felt like it was the right call because she doesn't know how things are going to go in Varmhall. So, you know, if it doesn't succeed, then like someone conceivably right now is leading the town, but she doesn't know who that would even be because I took out every single person that could have been a leader in one fell swoop. So I'm like, I feel like Vesta should be there to take care of things if it doesn't work entirely. But it's that thing of kind of like, you know, it's like your older sibling that you're like trying to impress because they really seem to have their shit together more than you do, and you don't want to tell them that you made a mistake. So I put it off for quite a while because and we didn't really have the ability to do so, but I was constantly being like, fuck, like what if I run into her? So I have to explain.
Has it occurred to you that Vesta, considering that the message was received from a person she does not know and just said they knew you, might not actually follow up?
No, it hadn't. I mean, yeah, that could happen. I wouldn't really I wouldn't hold it against her because she's a very pragmatic person, so she wouldn't really have I understand why she wouldn't necessarily trust that. And you know, maybe everything will work perfectly at Varmhill and it won't matter. And then, or if it doesn't, well, Finn's there and they've been doing something for 2 months, so who knows? Yeah. Stress. That's how I feel. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Cool.
She scares me. That's it. Wolfians. We had just an evening of everyone chatting with various people. Because then you spoke with Wilela that same night, right, Elowyn?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be really honest. The only note I took from this was the whole Malden is not a god thing. So if you can just fill me on what else happened.
Oh, man. I have more notes from this section than I do from meeting Velun.
Love that.
But a lot of it is me talking to myself. Literally, I have deck of many things, and then underneath it, there's no chance Teni gives this to me. Fuck you. Yeah, no, because, well, I had lots of questions for her. I always have lots of questions for her. But she was telling me about wish options. I have a whole thing to talk about Tower of the Sphinx, but we can maybe wait until next episode to talk about that as well.
Okay, because that was the one thing I was trying to remember. Was it that conversation where was the deck floated in that, or did she just tell you to go? Yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
What did she say? That just she knew of something that was there? Did she say it was the deck specifically?
Those are two different things she talked to me about. So she floated 3 wish options by me. She said Tower of the Sphinx. There are potentially, I think, powerful wizards who have spent their whole lives sequestered away in that tower. That might be powerful enough. So that was one option. She mentioned genies. We haven't explored that one yet, my friends. Genies, my note under that, known for collecting mortals as slaves. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. I'm looking forward to exploring. And then Deck of Many Things was the third one. She was like, there's a deck that can do powerful stuff.
Interesting that all 3 of those culminated in one session, kind of.
talk about
Villanori,
genies,
an
did we?
old wizard, and a freet from the fire plane who likes to enslave.
Oh, interesting.
Villanori
Maybe I
has a
should
deck of many
banish him.
things, maybe.
I should have had a conversation with that guy.
If only we weren't in
Hey,
pitched
bud.
combat for 3 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was what she gave me for that. And then we talked about potentially altering deals. It's like only kind of recently occurred to me that I did make a deal with the stranger. Kind of just felt like I think I did. Because it didn't really feel like it at the time. I was 9 years old. But I think I did. And that's kind of what I was talking with her about here. And I was like, that happened, right? And then can we make, just out of curiosity's sake, could a person potentially alter the contract of a deal like that?
What did
So-
you get from this deal?
Yeah, like, so what did you think it was, if not a deal?
See, because we went into the forest,
Uh-huh.
lost in the forest.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to get back out. Found the stranger. Stranger's like, I can get you out of the forest if you find my name. And I went, yep. I think the curse is collateral. I don't think the curse has anything to do with this, really.
Well, I mean, maybe was that just his terms of the deal, right?
We didn't talk a whole lot.
Huh.
Interesting.
So wait, oh my god. So we have to talk about this in
I think-
characters. Have we never really like had you break down like how? I guess maybe it felt too like painful of an area to
Yeah,
kind of
sensitive.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make a note to like. I'm just gonna have all these conversations with Elowyn. I'm just like really like needling you.
But it really only kind of recently crossed my mind that I'm like, that's 2 deals I got going on. Guess I gotta find the genie.
I
Third.
still maintain it could only be one if Layla isn't who we think she is.
That doesn't make sense, but I think she. Anyways, if we had continued our conversation, if she didn't run away like the little coward she is, we could have learned more about this, more about what I think about Layla and her relationship with a stranger. But she booked it. I'll talk to her someday. I
Yeah.
can be patient.
Definitely.
Done so for 300 plus years, so.
And it has resulted in no impatience developing whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I feel like there's a limit to how like patient someone can be when it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that all you wanted to talk about with that specific thing?
Yeah.
There's some of the tower stuff we can get into in the final episode chat, but
Yeah, again, it's something I thought more about after last episode. I was like, it's kind of strange how all of this has come together. So yeah, I do have more to say about that tower, but we can talk about it with the rest of this.
cool. All right. As far as I'm aware, we then jumped to the next morning, and we had our meeting with Philip Rowe, correct?
Yep.
Alririghty. Well, that was a conversation that went completely differently than what I was expecting personally, because it went really well. I was like, oh god, okay. So Ryan, Gideon is someone who I would say is maybe notorious for not being able to trust people that seem like allies to the party. So what were your thoughts towards Hillip after that meeting? And what were you expecting going into the conversation?
Gideon was, of course, a little paranoid going into the conversation. 'Cause how could he not be? But after the conversation with him, I think he's found someone that he feels he can trust from Balesville, which is a big step for him. But now with the situation and Hillip maybe having to go back to Balesville, Gideon is just genuinely worried about him because he thinks that they just might kill him. And if he loses the only person that he is like, this person reminds me of old Balesville, then, you know, back to square one, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was kind of what he said was like the reason why he was part of the Learned Circle, right? Like he helped deal with some of like uprising stuff in Dalesville.
Yeah, he was a big part of why peace was kept for as long as it was. But now there's more happening that's probably going to be too much for him because there's freaking Mithril So
yeah. And that was actually my next question too, is like what do we think is happening? Like obviously we don't know what's happening in Dalesville in general in terms of the incident. But in terms of like their current political like machinations, because the Reeve, I forget her name, but whoever she was, didn't want us
Bexley?
there.
something
Cater
Bexley.
Bexley, I want to say.
Cater Bexley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Hilp was never told about like the information we had provided about that meeting in Kardrak in the woods. So
Yeah. Thinking she's Team Kardrak.
yeah. Didn't Hilp make it seem like we were gonna like he wanted us to potentially join for that? Like when he has to go there to pick a new Reeve?
Don't know. I can't remember.
I feel like maybe that was a thing.
But I mean, I'd be down. I'd be down to join them, but we can't be in so many places at once. And we're going so far east of Balesville. We're going to be probably far away from there when that happens. We're just going to have to let the fates decide, I guess. I tried, we warned him. We tried our best to warn him. We also told him about the Arterian Knights doing their thing there, and of course the Armadon didn't hear about that at all, which means there's some stuff going on with them there too. One of their high-ranking members, I guess, there. I guess the person who took over for the high-ranking member that died recently is probably Team Kardrak. And then, so yeah, the law enforcement is corrupt. The politicians are corrupt. What's next? The whole city's under the thumb of Kardrak. It's brutal.
What's going on?
Hillip's gonna go shake some things up for sure, but he's as you said, he loves Balesville. He's gonna put it first, but I think he's the kind of guy to take it to the extreme and really try to fix the place. But he's gonna probably step in the wrong door, tell the wrong person what he's doing because he's a nice guy. Then he's gonna get killed, and I'm gonna be sad about it.
Oh my god, the loudest sirens in the world. Never mind. Part of me during that conversation was having a thought, because you've talked so many times about like you have a specific like moments in mind of when you would retire Gideon.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, wouldn't that be so like, obviously I don't think timing wise it would happen, but it'd be so like weird if we went there and like you became the Reeve of Balesville. That was a thought I was having. I'm like, whoa, wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
We'd have to see.
I don't know if that ever came to your mind at all, but
Never
whole
actually.
conversation,
I
I was
never thought about that at all.
mainly because I just like, obviously we don't really know anyone else in Balesville, so I'm like, who the fuck is he about to like, who's gonna be taking over? Or then part of me was like, oh, what if he like gives up his seat in the Learned Circle and like he becomes Reeve again? Maybe like Hillock, that is.
I think if Gideon were hypothetically to become Reeve of Balesville, it wouldn't be right now.
Yeah, a lot would have to happen, I feel like, right?
Yeah, Gideon needs to be in a better place. Gideon doesn't see himself as a leader right now or someone who could lead. He, sees himself as the sort of second or third, maybe even the fourth, to like make decisions. Depending on what's happening. Unless it's cooking, then he's number one. But other than that, he's willing to take it back.
Big pot of stew.
It's a very big pot of stew. It's a big mess of things. So yeah, Gideon right now, he doesn't feel like a leader or someone who could lead, and I think that might be a big step for him eventually. But he'll still put your guys first. In terms of decisions, because he thinks y'all are better leaders than he is. So, Yeah.
I feel like we'd have to kind of know, like, we'd have to have solved the incident first for that ever to even come up. But it's a nice, like, it's a comforting thought to think of potentially, like, a retirement for Gideon that isn't tragic as fuck, which I think is where you're aiming. But I like to imagine that maybe
I'm
it's
not-
a nice one.
Listen, I want Gideon. I want the best for Gideon, but I understand the character I've written.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things where, like, Ryan is crossing his fingers, like, every session that Gideon makes it through, everything is fine, it's whatever. But I know who Gideon is. And he is a very unfortunate, he's just been through too much. He's been through so much crap.
Yeah.
And it just keeps adding on. And it's just like, okay. Oh, man. Like, he's just, either he's gonna, like, go get help, and that will be one way I retire him, is like he's literally just gonna go hang out in Brulbar and get therapy. Like, that is one of my, like, endings for him. It's like he literally leaves the party and he's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to get help. Period. I can no longer maintain this. The other one is he goes and burns down Balesville. So you know, it's here or there. We'll
Which
see how
maybe
she
is
goes.
what Balesville needs. We don't know. Also, I
Yeah.
just want to point out Danny had the shiftiest side eye when you were talking about, like, that whole thing. It's really funny.
Yeah,
I'll
so
have you
Gideon,
know
there's-
I'm making notes.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is an
good.
endless amount of ways I could retire Gideon, and I'm hoping that it's a good one. I really am hoping it's a good one, but I am more than prepared to send him down the dark path. And I think with the stuff we're going to talk about in the next episode, I think we've laid the groundwork to say that that's totally possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's, yes, God, I love this character. I love this game. These characters are all so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, also part of that conversation was the offer that we were presented about us being heroes of the realm. What? What? How's everyone feeling?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I'm really curious about how Azaria is feeling, asking to be called to service yet again after the Battle of Brulbar, and being a teacher for as long as they have been.
I feel like Azaria's last, 50 years of their life has been being of service to the realm.
You're like, oh, now I got a
Just now to
rating.
get a title.
I was like, well, now at least I get a building. Last time I had to sleep in a church with a dwarf whose name we still don't know.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about that guy.
That's gonna be the post-campaign epilogue for everyone.
Yeah,
Everyone will
that's
have
the
these
main
amazing
question.
things, and Azaria will go back to that town and ask the dwarf their name. No, I think, I feel good about the becoming heroes of the realm, because we were talking about needing to make a name for ourselves. And so I know when we had those moments of like, oh, do we turn this down? I was like, why? We need people on our side. This will get people on our side.
Yeah, that's very true. It like threw me for a freaking loop. I guess because I feel like a lot of time it's my experience in D&D games is just like not being taken seriously, like by people. And so I was just like really like, oh, I've got to lay some groundwork and fucking Valen Bridge to hopefully just so we don't come off as crazy, because I feel like that's so likely. And then for the fact that wasn't a mistake and that it worked out, like Nell is just like, I did a good job, kind of. So that feels weird, but
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, who knows where we would have ended up if you hadn't made some of those calls earlier.
yeah, I'm curious about maybe if that trial had gone differently potentially, but
Yeah, that trial probably was a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
So-
Another way I could retire Gid is he could be the major domo of our keep.
oh, there you go. Can't believe you'd put Tyrone
We're
up
We're
a
gonna have
job
to hire a
like that.
chef.
You can just be the chef of our keep.
That's fair.
Adam, how are
I
you
think
feeling
that's,
about the whole hero thing?
Abe doesn't trust it.
Ooh, interesting.
Politicians that we don't know, that we have no idea where their allegiances lie, whether they're team Cardi K or I guess be Cardi M
Cardi K.
or team
That's
Ascendancy
his pop
Bros
star name.
is we don't know. And I'd like to point out very sinisterly how oh no, good guy from Balesville,
Hillip.
Philip, was like, "What do you remember, Gideon?" Anybody else remember that?
Nope. No. I'm gonna go rewatch that
Yeah,
conversation.
because we were all sitting there being like, so it seems like there's someone who maybe goes around and erases anyone's memory who knows about the incident. Then young fair Hillip is like, do you remember anything, Gideon? Because my adamantium-clad best bud here, maybe has the ability to erase memories. Who knows?
Oh boy.
Were they?
Interesting.
Were either of them? I mean, we wouldn't necessarily know, but neither of them were magic users necessarily, were they? From what we could tell.
No idea.
No idea.
Yeah, I know, but
Hillip could be a level 20 wizard, and we have no idea.
We guess which?
yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I probably thought that moment was more like, you know, he also had memories erased potentially. But I do like where your mind's at. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Didn't Faye, no, not Faye, didn't Charity, like, have her memories erased on purpose?
No.
on
No,
purpose?
No?
she tried to fix it,
Yeah,
but
she
then
tried
she almost
to-
died.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was so
okay.
powerful, the magic, that it like,
Right.
yeah.
Interesting.
Which, thank God she didn't die. Imagine this world without Charity.
I like her so much. Teni probably will kill her at a really crucial part just to make us feel something.
Don't you
and
dare.
I'm gonna be mad about that. Well, he's got he's got a selection now of who he's gonna pick, right? He can do like Yulempha, fucking Q, Charity, you know,
Yeah.
Your
all
own?
of them.
Tyrone.
Tyrone, yeah.
You leave my turtle boy out of this.
You don't you dare, Teni.
Then he just has a dartboard on the other side of his room.
All the
He's just
favorite
like,
NPCs.
Who is the unlucky one today?
Every
Yeah.
week that we're away from Brulbar, he throws another dart.
Oh my god.
So far, he hasn't hit anyone.
Yeah,
But
It's
my
actually
aim
nothing
is
good at
getting
darts.
better.
Jeez.
Okay, Teni, I know
Wait,
you had
sorry.
something. Oh,
Hold
okay.
on. Let me say, because I think this was also like another thing that was like a big deal for Elowyn in this episode as well. Because I think I don't think I've ever felt like super attached to the Ascendancy or anything like that. But I think like all of this coupled with talking with Velun earlier and Velun being like, they're building a railway back out to like my hometown, the town I was born in. And just starting to be like, and again, I think Elowyn's been a person who's like, I contribute nothing like her whole life, and to suddenly kind of be like, oh, maybe I can, like, maybe this is something I can do that is good. Maybe I can do good things, and maybe I could like help rebuild like what was taken from me and taken from my, and I think Velun said it as well, where he was like, I fought in the battle because I wanted to help, like, you know, take back what was our families, and I was like, I've never thought that. But I'm kind of suddenly in a point where I'm like, maybe I can be helpful, do a good thing for the family, you know? Anyways, this is like a big episode of Revelations for Elowyn.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, Drac is kind of in the same boat where he doesn't really feel connected to the Ascendancy for obvious reasons, but he likes to help people, and if this is a way for him to better help people, then great. He'll go along with it. But if the Ascendancy comes for his people, ooh.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with Adam though. I don't know if I fully trust. In general.
You?
What?
Weird.
Yeah, I think I tentatively want to trust it, but obviously I think everything feels like kind of grain of salt because we just don't know. But it feels promising, potentially, that like we're maybe being taken seriously. The other thing too, it's like I think what weirdly, like, I don't, that being of service of the helping is just like Nell's deal, so like that part wasn't as weird, but the concept of having a keep was crazy because it's like sorry, I might have like a place to live that's not like my village, like, but that'll come up if we ever actually go there more so, but that really threw me a lot. Which, yeah, speaking of the keep, Teni, you had something to say about this, but I want to say first, I cracked it fucking wide open because I was rewatching the episode today. You son of a bitch, you planted, I don't even think, does Adam know that he planted the thing of the keep in the journal you were reading? Yeah, you fucking, I didn't, it was so early on in the episode that it like, didn't even occur to me that it was like the same thing, but do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, in Adam's like reading of the journal, it's historically been known as Keep Zemplaritia, and it was like the home base of the three champions, Faye, Kardrak, and Pascalis. And also the actual like fun fact I wanted to point out was Ryan's character in the last campaign, Miles Hume. Logan's character opened a pass wall. Ryan went in and killed 20 people in their sleep. So
That was
In
so
that
cool.
in that keep.
Sorry, what does that have to do with
much-
anything we were just
so
talking
much
about?
murder
fun
happened in
fact,
that
yeah,
keep.
it's definitely haunted.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Courtesy of my last
Fun.
character and Logan's character.
So who the fuck was in the keep that you were murdering?
Dragonborn.
Dragonborns.
Oh,
And
great.
once
Children of
they-
Emre. Not just
Yeah.
random Dragonborn refugees or anything like that.
Dragonborn soldiers
Children.
serving the smoking scourge. They were against the people dwelling beneath the surface.
Yeah, and once they cleared that fort out, that was like where the assault on Brulbar was able to kind of begin its foothold and begin the battle.
That was such a cool. I can't get over that freaking whole thing. That was so neat.
Curious now if we finally get to go, I don't know, like in 10 years to the keep, like, are we gonna, is gonna be like anything like historical there? Now I wonder that would have like maybe survived. But also I wonder if like Abe will have like any kind of like moment of like, holy shit, I used to live here.
Yeah, the
Whoa,
second
my room.
time he's been warden of Smallkeep.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey, Adam, by the way, you and I need to have a chat outside of After Party about Miles and Arturo's and their respective families for
Ryan's
reasons.
gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, at some point we need to have this discussion.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, carry on.
So fucking cryptic, but okay.
That's actually a good point. Would
Would
oh,
Patience know
no.
Naivara?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Would they have like grown up together?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And would, I know Arturo's died not too long after the campaign. Would Miles know your family until his death? And
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Would he have been a part of Naivara's life? Yeah,
Yeah. Stuff like
that is
that.
a good question.
Mm.
It's very interesting.
Well, I can't wait to hear what comes of that because now I'm curious.
Because I was your freaking nephew, man.
Yeah, we didn't know it.
We didn't even know it!
Oh, right.
We didn't know it until after Arturo's death.
Yeah.
And, well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I had this lovely little moment of just like feeling like, oh fuck, I didn't even get to know this guy. He was like family right there. Like,
Yep.
oh well.
Does
Shit.
that make Naivara would that be like your second cousin or something?
Oh.
I don't know how to do
That
family.
sounds
I
right.
don't know how
Sure.
to do it.
Everyone's second cousin because I can't figure it out.
I think that's like a cousin once removed or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The family tree specialists out there, let us know in the comments. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're here
questions.
now, let us know in the chat.
Yeah, so we should have a chat, and Denny should probably be present for it.
Nah.
It's kind of important, Denny.
Okay. All right. You convinced me.
Yeah, we should have a chat at some point soon-ish.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah, so after we got this kind of like life-altering news, we went with Abe to check out the the big statue of the heroes of Brulbar, which I just wanted to point out, it was really cool to me that it was like made of the horde of the dragon that they killed. I think that's so freaking cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's such a neat little.
It's
piece of-
cool, but I'm a little bit like, so we didn't want to use all that gold and precious material to like fund setting up a new nation.
I did actually think about that too.
I'll have you know, if you want the whole deal of it, it is coated in a layer of gold, which is chiseled away to give the FG, so it's like stone underneath. And yes, the gold was actually used to rebuild.
There you go.
Oh wait, Kumbala, you just made me think. So wait, no, if you were his nephew, that means Naivara would just would have been your cousin.
Yep.
That's how that works.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So, okay.
But then Patience, assuming that she is Miles' daughter, would be Naivara's
Second cousins.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier in Indian families. They are older than you, they're aunts and uncles, they're around your age, they're cousins. We don't bother with everything else.
Yeah.
They
So
live
that-
beside
seems
you
way
also,
easier.
they're probably your aunt and uncle and cousins.
Yeah, same thing with native folks. It's just like, are you out for a drive? Is somebody you see on the res you recognize? That's a cousin.
Oh man. Oh my god, my note for this section is nothing at all.
Really?
Yeah, it was literally just being like
Screams.
it was something about like for the former players, like what was this moment like? Because you guys have seen your characters in like other kind of things, like the parade and everything. So like at this point, is it kind of just like, yep, or does it still feel impactful? Like each.
It's awesome every time.
I love
every
it.
time. I'm like, look at that lasting mark.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Every time I get a small reference to Miles, I'm very excited. I'm very eager to see if Teni does any references to Miles' wife. She's a very accomplished architect. I'm very eager.
Whoa.
Or was a
God.
very accomplished architect. She's dead now, but you know what I mean.
I wonder what buildings she made. Curious.
Try a whole
been
bunch of
asking
Brawl
more.
Bar.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Should have been asking about the architects everywhere we went. I didn't know I was looking for it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware. I done fucked up. I don't feel like I need to mention. Okay. There's so much of this last part that I really just stopped taking notes about. So it just all gone away from me. Abe and Gideon discuss stuff. Was it another like hashing out of how you guys are feeling about like everything?
I mean, this moment was them like talking about like Gideon kind of bringing back up like, are we good? And then also
Right.
the idea of gifting Abe his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like, do you like the name? You know, you can
I
change
thought
it.
that
It's
was a really
yours.
beautiful moment.
Mhm.
Just like acknowledging the fact that, you know, you were the one that named him, and Abe wasn't, you know, very fluent back then. So he probably couldn't put the words together to tell you that he liked it or didn't. So it was nice of you to like bring that back up and ask him now that he can, you know, string very complex thoughts together.
I
in
also
language.
think it's a lot of fun too, because like of course Adam chose his own name, and then we just get to spin it in this way. It's like, oh, Gideon gave you that name.
Funny thinking about that. Like, Gideon will just have done it. Right? We don't need to talk about it.
Oh, but
It's
we
fine.
do.
Yeah,
We do.
exactly.
We have to talk about everything, Adam.
Yeah, we do. We do.
One of those moments during that conversation where it's just like, man, I really forgot what like Abe was like right at the beginning, like the lack of like vocabulary and stuff. Like so long ago, in my mind now I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Well, it was a year ago.
Yeah, in our
In
real time.
lifetime.
Yeah,
Crazy.
fascinating. Yeah, I'm just gonna be so curious to see like what happens with all of this like different soul energy. Oh wait, this is a question. Okay, I'm gonna get everyone to join me in the freaking tin foil hat corner because so the fact you guys started doing that makes me so happy. You don't understand. But this is a question I had was like, again, you're not gonna answer part of this for me, Denny, because you hate me. But I don't understand how the souls and the crystal and all of that work. Still, like it still like hurts my brain a little bit. But like I'm trying to figure out like is like who we know as Abe, like is that actually like Pascalis's personality, but it's just like in a different context that we're seeing it, or is Abe like truly his own person? Because like how does it work with the other freaking Argan folk? Because like it's like they were living as one person, then they have memories, and some of them, not all of them, which also confuses me, but some of them have memories of their past lives and then can find that family. What is it? I don't understand how it works.
Well, right. It's like if Abe is his own entity, like what is that soul? Where did that come from, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Are there
And it's
two
like,
souls?
yeah, and it's like the other Arkan folk. It's like so some of them have memories of past lives, but not all. So like, I don't understand.
Maybe Abe is the because before having no memories of being Pascalis, maybe Abe is the blank slate of Pascalis without outside influences, and while remembering past things could then influence it, it's just like a fresh start. And then maybe that's like all the Argan folks, because they're like, there's been no nurture or nature. This is what this person's personality would have been like if they just existed as an adult, and how they're being influenced and getting all that nurture and nature stuff, but as fully formed adults.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Did you mean to do this, Adam?
No. I was just like, hey, an Argan folk would be cool to play. And I have this idea for this Balded stuff. I was originally going to play a lizard folk.
That would have been so fun.
Very different.
Oh my god, Drac, you would have had a little buddy.
Yeah. I feel like we
make
probably
like
wouldn't
a
have been from the same place, but
Giant crocodile or something.
Ooh.
Oh,
Cool.
cool.
The
was
alternate presence.
Yep.
That one Egyptian god whose name I don't remember. Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Crimson. Thanks, Nick.
Like so many different layers of like what could be.
Turducken of an Argan
suit.
folk. What did you say?
We
Adam?
did.
I said 3 lizards in a human suit.
There it is.
There it is. Now a robot.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
3 lizards plus human suit equal robot.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Lizard machine?
Upside down ways, actually, Nick.
Well, this took a turn I wasn't expecting, and my brain hurts more than
Well,
ever.
Let me alleviate your brain with bringing up the next big point of what happened in this session. So,
What was that?
Christy.
What?
There was this big situation where we all, you guys were at the statue, and then you all decided to part ways. Part of the group went to go collect supplies. Abe and Gideon went back to the inn, and Nell was put on a rickshaw to go on a city tour with Naivara Quillanthri. So your Nell's interest in Naivara had grown over the previous session since meeting her, culminating in this city tour turned date in this episode. How surprised were you when the party suggested Nell should go alone with Naivara? And would Nell have gone on the one-on-one city tour on her own if the party hadn't pushed her to do it?
Interesting. It was kind of one of those like half and half things where like I fully would have brought everyone, because that's like Naivara like made that invitation to like, well, not necessarily the whole group, because she didn't meet the whole group, but to at least like myself, Drac, and Abe. So would have invited everyone along, and I think if anything, it would have made like Nell feel more comfortable, because she just feels so fucking terrible at being like one-on-one with someone, just like me in real life. But at the same time, part of me was kind of hoping like, oh, I hope they let me go alone. Because we had made such a thing about being like, no one can go alone in the city because it's dangerous. So yeah, it was like I'm hoping for both and wanting neither.
There was like no scenario, I feel like, where we weren't like, go, 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 go.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just so much more fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's way more pressure.
I actually have a question for you,
Uh-oh.
Christy. I guess how is Nell feeling now that that we've left Brulbar after having that date with Naivara?
Oh, I don't know. Like, almost in a weird way, like kind of like better because she doesn't feel as like I don't know, like she needs to like act on anything now. And then there's also the whole thing like we're leaving to go deal with like my family, and so that's kind of taken precedence. So yeah, it's one of those things like, okay, it'd be really nice to like go back to this at some point. Maybe because she's still like not really confident enough to feel that like that went super well, and so it's kind of that thing. It's like it's really good that I can just like fucking bail because I feel better about that.
True.
So yeah, one of those things. It's like me in real life where you have like you hang out with someone and then you lie in bed at like 3 a.m. and you're like, here's all the reasons why you were really annoying. And so I feel like when she's not like worried about her family, she's just doing that. Like talked about this for like way too long, and she also thought my idea of drawing my view from the airship was lame. So
But she looked back.
She looked back on a critical 20.
All right, I'm gonna jump ahead to another of my questions to Adam, as the person who initiated. Does she look back? Denny, I have to know. At the end of this date, you already seemed heavily invested in relationship. Can you expand on this?
Christy plays awkward really well. So I was just super curious if, because Nell's hella awkward. So just, and like, dates are so weird when you're not already committed to the person, you don't know them or anything. So I'm just like, I want the juice. I want the flavor. I want the spice, the salt.
Give me the spice.
Yeah.
Nice.
the nicest thing you've ever said about Nell.
It was such a clutch ask, and I'm glad the dice rolls were on camera and went the way they did.
Yeah.
Christy, when did Nell realize she had a crush on Naivara, and did you actually have any interest in pursuing that?
It's a good question. I don't really know why. Dallis was there for when I first brought it up because we were out to dinner, and it was the episode right after we had met her, and I was like, what if I just had Nell be in love with Naivara? And you were like, yes.
The other part of my investment too, sorry, was just that like there'd been so many other characters that Nell had been like, oh, mom, about. So like,
when Johnny Bravo on them.
Yeah, this is the first time she's actually like pursuing it beyond just being like, that's the sweat on your muscles is real nice,
I want to die. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I have to defend myself now.
No.
For me, it's like I am someone who really enjoys like Regency and like romance stuff, and so it's like fun for me to play that. And I know it's not everyone else's cup of tea, so I did message Teni after I'd like said to Dallis, what if just to be like, I don't need this to be anything. I'm in part of my mind I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like sowing some seeds for like an eventual like epilogue thing would be kind of nice, but whatever. But you were like chill, so that was fine. But part of what I was playing with Nell is that like being out of her village was like she's learning a lot about herself and how she feels like she fits into the world, and I don't think this is ever something she's like thought of, or like she's never pursued anyone before, or like really like so much of her life was like lived in like books and fictional things, so like there might have been like a story character or something, but never anyone in real life. So everything leading up to like the Naivara of it all was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is when maybe like attraction feels like cool. I can navigate this. But I think like what made this one different is that like, one, the way that Naivara was described was so cute and sweet, and two, like she just was really helpful to us, and I think like something like that really like connects more with Nell than just like how someone would look. Obviously, it's like, oh, she like was really sweet and she had all these answers for us, and Nell loves information, so that was a key component. I don't even know what the question was anymore because I'm feeling really nervous.
It was just whether you
think,
actually had the intent to pursue her, but yeah. And
Yeah.
I suppose I'll bring it up to the final point in all this. You know, the fact that we had that critical 20, you must have been thrilled, and everyone else seemed thrilled as well. Like, talk about that. How is everybody doing? Like, because nobody else has really been pursuing romance in this campaign, and as far as like our session 0 stuff, it seemed like nobody really had an interest when this campaign started.
Yeah, I think again it was one of those things where I'm like, I definitely wouldn't have, but it just kind of came up naturally. And then again, we checked in to make sure it was okay, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna do it because I think it's fun, especially the whole playing awkward thing. Because for me, it's like that is so accurate to my real life, and this at least I can take that part that haunts me in reality and make it funny, and give it my own like contextualization. So that's kind of nice for my overall mental health. But oh god, I'm rambling so much now. I don't know. I give up. Someone else talk. Oh, the nat 20. Yeah, no, I was so overwhelmed at that point. I was like, yeah, okay. I just really wanted to just like go lie down in real life for a while.
Yeah, I
Chance
think
maybe
it's really
that-
cute.
Is there a chance maybe that Christy is in love with Naivara and is just maybe rambling a little bit?
Hard to say. That like reference image for her is so cute. So like I don't know.
It is really cute.
Yeah. It's fine.
No, I mean, I think it's really sweet. I agree. Like, I feel like I've done romance in D&D like once before, and it's not something I've ever like. Absolutely, I'm here to play D&D and fall in love. But when it makes sense for this story, like it makes sense, and I think this totally made sense, and it didn't feel forced. It was super cute, and I think everyone was like, "Yeah, let's have a sweet little cute love story." On board.
I also suppose that's not entirely fair, because actually Logan in his backstory had kind of figured out a romantic relationship in his in Azaria's backstory.
Yeah, Zarya's backstory.
Sure.
Why have you not mentored me? I literally said, can anyone give me advice? And everyone was quiet. I need help.
They did by putting you into a rickshaw to go on this date.
Go.
The real reason was because I was on shitty Halliburton internet at that point, I'm pretty sure.
True. Okay, well, there's so many conversations we need to have.
Yep.
Sorry,
Oh,
help.
so funny. Nell's like, sorry,
I don't care about magic. Tell me about love.
Right. Maybe it'll come up when we're in Varmal and near the forest where I grew up.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. There's also something that's like rattling around my mind that I think is so accurate to this, where Brennan Lee Mulligan talks a lot about how like in campaigns it's way easier to like romance like a DM insert than someone in the campaign itself, because he's like it gets awkward, and as like the PC you can just leave. You don't have to be around that person anymore. And I'm like really feeling that deeply. I'm like, I don't need her to be around all the time. Too much pressure. So I really liked that I was able to do this and then get on an airship. And now I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've never played romance in D&D, and with Gideon, I thought about it a lot when you started doing it with Nell, and I was like, Gideon doesn't have any memory of this. He doesn't even know what to do anymore. He's just fucking horribly sad.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to help people now. I think he's just done with that. He just wants to work on himself right now. So he's just purely like, he's going monk mode, you know? It's like, I gotta fix me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a mess.
I would be a little concerned if Gideon hopped into a relationship right now. No offense.
So would Gideon, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Just saying, Sarze seems eligible.
That would be actually probably the perfect situation if they were going to pick anyone. Someone equally toxic and just fuck each other up,
The
you know?
funny thing is, we have no idea if she's toxic or not.
What if
She's
Sarze
so
is actually
super
sorry.
stable.
What if Sarze's like the nicest person?
That's
They
just her
have a
job.
job.
Yeah, it's her
Yeah,
day job.
I
exactly.
just have a job.
Why are you after us? I got paid.
You know?
That sounds
He's-
great. You know,
She's
she's
actually-
financially stable and emotionally stable.
Yeah,
Girls gotta eat,
Yeah,
man.
honestly, probably.
She separates work and her personal life, you know?
You know what?
Tarzan
I'm here
actually has
for
like
it.
a wife
I
and
get on
3
board.
children, and it's just like when she's at home, she's at home. When she's at work, she's at work, and they don't interact. And I, that's healthy.
I'm
I
here
respect
for it.
that.
I'm here
That's
for
how
it.
we take her down. We go
Armani
after her
Kane and
family.
Sarze, power couple.
Whoa.
Sarze heals
Wait a
you
minute.
in Edom Town.
We're gonna write some fan fiction.
Wow.
1 second.
Now, I hate to be the one who kind of breaks the fourth wall here, but due to the length of this episode, I might in the VOD chop this up into the actual sessions, just because this one
Good
ran an
idea.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
So
For sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Smart.
That's fair. Is that all anyone had to ask me about that? Because I will send us to break.
very good.
Woo! Alrighty.
right.
Well, we're going to take a quick 5 and then be back to discuss the next episode, which is Mr. Armani Kane. Woo! We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Need a bit.